Hey everybody, Rajathon here. Let's talk Wheel of Time Book 1. So, Book 1 in the Wheel of Time series is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. It's a fantastic entry book into a 14 book series that I love dearly. I did a review, it'll be linked up above. I think you should go check that out if you haven't read it yet. I think it's going to be an amazing and interesting look. This will have a bunch of spoilers in it, that did not. So, go ahead and check that out if you haven't already read The Wheel of Time. So, this is my personal favorite series of all time. I started reading it back around 14 or 15. I had a teacher who recommended me the Ellie Modicit books, the Magic or Recluse books, and I really enjoyed those. And so when I got bored, I asked him for another recommendation, and he recommended me The Eye of the World. So that's how I got into the series personally. So look for a review on Ellie Modicit's books on the channel as well, because I recently bought book 1, The Magic or Recluse. So if you can and you leave early, go ahead and like and subscribe to the video. It helps me out a ton, and it definitely gets me a little bit more noticed. I'm going to try to do some more in-depth stuff like this, these discussions. I think they're fun for me to do because I get to do some research, and I'm excited to do them so you guys can take in some really interesting ideas. So we'll see you right after the intro. I know this is my favorite series, and I gush about it a lot, and I recommend it to everyone. So I'm going to try to look at some negatives. When I do look at negatives, a lot of times I look back and I go, well, I didn't think that was a negative, but a lot of other people might. So I'm going to try to pull a couple things that maybe aren't negatives for me, but other people might not like them. So this one really doesn't bother me, but a lot of people do say that this is a remake of The Fellowship of the Rings, but definitely the beginning where they're leaving the two rivers. Understand that. It does parallel a lot to it. But I do think there are things that Robert Jordan did a lot better than Tolkien. As in, when we have the Ring Race, I think the Myrddril were much better scary villains. Even looking upon them was fear. With the Ring Race, they felt like a ghost or a specter, and the Myrddril felt more real and dynamic. I totally understand the criticism, though, because so many things are similar. You have the orcs and the Trollocs, you have the Myrddril and the Ring Race, you have leaving the village, you have the wise wizard character, you have the young chosen one character. You don't have a ring. There's nothing they're taking out of the two rivers, but it is very similar, especially after rereading the Fellowship of the Ring and then going in and rereading The Eye of the World. You definitely see the parallels. But in his defense, Robert Jordan said he wanted to try to create a story where that was a big part of it, where he took a well-known trope and then evolved it to something a little more interesting. So this one is actually a negative for me. The ending does not make a whole lot of sense. It struggles, and you look at it and you go, okay, well, we have 3 Forsaken here. Don't know, big spoiler for other books coming up if you haven't read them. Balsamon is Ishmael, and you don't really understand that. At the time, you think he's killing the Dark One. It feels a bit rushed. I don't know if he even had it fully fleshed out yet. Agenor and Bethamel, both who should have been very powerful characters, were not. They kind of were really weak. Agenor, he did have a little bit more of a interesting story. I just felt like they were defeating too easily. You had a middle of the road Aes Sedai, Nynaeve, and Rand, who kind of did the big part of the defeating of the Forsaken, and the two of them are powerful, yes, but untrained. And so it really factors into this idea that I don't think Robert Jordan kind of knew where his world was going. He obviously didn't plan for 14 books. He didn't even plan for 14. His original plan was 12. So as beautiful and awesome as the story is, I think this is definitely the lowest point of the book, and it's probably the big issue that I have personally. So our third negative that I like to go into is that it definitely feels very rushed once we get to Caemlyn. Once the characters come back together, it feels like they just quickly go up to the Blight, do their battle, and then it's done. It felt like he spent so much more time creating a world and good characters up until Caemlyn, and then after Caemlyn, it was like, let's get where we need to go. I'm running out of page time. Let's finish this up. So I would say that's probably a negative too. Not as big of a negative for me. I could have done with another 100 pages because I just love it. But for a lot of people, I think it probably needed to end. But for me, that's personally a negative. And then the final negative, it was not on my list of 3, but the cover, the artwork doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's not anything that really happens that this artwork really does. We have Nicolas Cage over here. There's more people in the group of people in the cover than we actually have in the story. I don't remember Lan with 2 swords. I don't remember him with that helmet. So it's just a bit kind of off the wall. But I understand that. Artists sometimes don't get the full story. But I always thought the cover was not indicative of what the book actually is. All right, so we got that out of the way, and I really want to go into the positives and the things that I loved about the book. The first positive is definitely the characters. My three favorite characters are Rand, Perrin, and Lan. I think Rand was so interesting in the way that they created him. I don't know why he doesn't call Tam father. That bugs me because I was adopted by my stepfather, and I call him dad. So he calls him Tam all the time. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but that's where he decided to go with it. And it was really interesting to see Rand grow, where he puts on a sword, he has no idea how to use it, and then all of a sudden he grows into the sword. It's not like he learns it and he becomes a sword master right away. He's even into later books, he's still very doubtful of his sword skills, even though he's done a lot of training in it. And also when he learns to play the flute and has to play for his money so that he can eat. He was hungry, he was starving. And that's going to come into effect a lot later in the series, where he has empathy for people who are hungry and need so many other things, where nobles look at him and go, why do you care about these people? It's because I've been here. So that was great to see Rand do that as well. With Perrin, one of the things I really loved was him learning to talk to wolves. The changing of the eye color is really neat. I've looked at, there's a show on Netflix right now called Zoo, where they zoom in on an eye like that, and it looks really cool. So if he has eyes like that, I find it would be really neat to see, especially when we get into the TV adaptation. And then I've always grown up and been more of a slow to talk kind of person, and a lot of times I'll be very contemplative and not say what I want to say, or I'll take a minute to talk to somebody. So I've very much connected with Perrin and how he approached the world, how he didn't want to say the wrong thing or didn't want to do the wrong thing. So that was something I've always connected with Perrin and felt I was the most like Perrin, and that's why I've loved Perrin from the beginning. But Lan is super cool. He can destroy anybody with a sword. He knows how to fight with axes, swords, bows. I mean, he is like the stereotypical cool and amazing soldier. He's better than all the other soldiers I've seen before. And the fact that he follows Moriane, I'm saying that wrong, I know, but it's just amazing who Lan is. He's the coolest character in the series, and I don't think anybody comes close to Lan. Even though we don't get a lot of screen time, book time with him, he's still my favorite character through the whole series. Positive two is how Robert Jordan handled a world where men were not in complete power. A lot of times you'll see a fantasy world and men are very powerful. There's always a king. Well, when we get to Caelin, there's a queen. There's a lot of queens in this series. When you get later into the series, you got Ibudar, you got Murundi, I believe. Mayenne has a female leader, the first of Mayenne. We also look at how the king and I'm in book 4, currently my reread. So the king and the patriarch are equal in power, and one's a man, one's a woman. So it's really interesting to see how the power dynamic works there. And I think Robert Jordan was ahead of his time because this was written early 90s, and he was very ahead of his time in women empowerment. And I think that was really cool. A great way that he can make this series really connect with people today and far in the future. We don't get into it a lot, but we do in the prologue with insanity. I think we don't see insanity very much in a lot of different things. And it's interesting to see the way that Robert Jordan handles true insanity, where when you have huge power like the One Power, the world can be broken with it when someone is insane. So, and that really shows why Rand is so scared when he learns he can channel, because it's fear, true fear that he would be one of the men who broke the world again. And that's really understandable the way that Robert Jordan puts it. It makes it very, you find the stakes high and you understand why they're high, and that really makes the book really good, I think. And this one is a positive for me because I'm a very imaginative person and it sucks me into the world deeper. A lot of people don't like it, so it may not be a positive for you. But the amazing detail that Robert Jordan puts into everything. He describes things where I feel like I'm there. I feel like the TV show is going to easily look like what Robert Jordan imagined it because he described it so well. We don't have to guess and wonder. He did such a great description that we know what the world's going to look like, and we just can't wait to see what's coming on the screen. Me personally, at least. And like I said earlier with the ending, I think he should have made that a little bit longer and did some better descriptions and kind of fleshed it out more. But I may be in the minority on that one. So if you'd like to support the channel, there's an Amazon affiliate link. I'm working on Book Depository. They haven't emailed me back yet, but that would help out the channel to help me make a little bit of money off these videos. You don't have to. Totally understand if you don't want to. But if you are deciding to buy any books or anything on Amazon, it won't cost you anything, and I would really appreciate it. So we're definitely going to try to make the Discord a little bit bigger. I don't know if anybody that has joined from the YouTube channel yet, but I'm excited and I want to grow that because it's been an exciting thing where I'm getting into Discord and I do like the platform. So I would love for people to come over from the YouTube channel into the Discord. There will be a link in the description, and I hope you guys will come join me in it. If you can, please like and subscribe. Likes and comments really help with user engagement, and it helps my video get shown to more people, and hopefully more people click on it and engage and join the community. So I'm excited. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.